Hey, everybody. This is Halloween. It's Halloween. And this is our Myth and Monsters episode. It's actually episode 9. We've had 9 episodes of Myths and Monsters.
Oh,
And
wow.
this one is so exciting because it's Halloween. So I have to show everybody I'm wearing. Okay, so I have a new t-shirt. It says Drink Up Witches. And you have on a shirt.
I do. It's a skeleton in my hair.
Skeleton. And I'm wearing my Dragoncraft Creations Halloween jewelry that's got a little skeleton, and it's orange and black and silver.
I love
and
it.
and I'm drinking out of this cup it's not a cup, it's a glass
Yeah.
that my parents gave me because they know that Halloween is my very favorite holiday.
I love
of
that
the
glass.
year.
It's got like the fingers wrapping around it. That's
Yes.
cool.
Oh, yeah, I forgot for our people who don't see us. It's a skeleton hand. The wrist bone is the stem, and the skeleton hand is holding the glass, which is holding my wine. And
Yeah.
it's very heavy. It's pewter, I think, on the bottom, but it's gorgeous. So we are very festive today.
We are.
So what is your topic?
So I'm going to do the general history of Halloween as we know it today.
Yay!
Oh, and then there's as I was researching this, I wanted some like fun facts and stuff. So I'm going to tell an additional story that's not necessarily about the history of Halloween, but is the history of jack-o'-lanterns and where that tradition came from.
How fun! And my topic after her topic will be the Ouija board. I'm excited.
Yes, I'm excited to hear what you have on that because, I know like Ouija boards, obviously, but I'm curious to see what your stuff's gonna be about.
Well, in Halloween, all I know is that it used to be a pagan holiday. Well, I don't even know that it was a holiday, but it was when the veils were supposed to be thin or something like that. That's all I know.
All about it. I'll tell you everything.
Well, tell me.
All right. So I got all of my information from history.com, which I think is a pretty good source for how things move out and everything. So Halloween's origins date back to the most ancient Celtic festival, Samhain. And for those of you who don't know, it's spelled Samhain, which is like a hilarious way to spell things, but that's just the way that the Celts pronounce
it, yeah.
So the Celts who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. This day marked the end of the summer and the harvest, and the beginning of the dark, cold winter, which was a time that was often associated with human death. Celts believed that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. So that's what you're talking about.
That's the only thing I knew.
Yeah. So on the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, which when it was believed that the ghosts of the dead returned to Earth. In addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of otherworldly spirits made it easier for the Druids, or the Celtic priests, to make predictions about the future. So for a people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort during the long, dark winter. So they used it as a way to predict, you're going to be fine during the winter, or you'll have plenty of food during the winter, like those kinds of predictions.
So was it a celebration or a time of fear?
It was a celebration, I think. I think it was just a way for everybody to come together and celebrate their new year, and then kind of look forward to, well, we've got the winter ahead of us. How about we celebrate together and have this festival and come together and do these future predictions.
Like one last hurrah, and let's hope the future holds good things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So to commemorate the event, Druids built huge sacred bonfires. So I knew about that part, where the people gathered to burn crops and animals as sacrifices to the Celtic deities, so that things would look up for them over the winter.
Oh, that's weird that they would burn crops because they're facing a time of famine.
Right.
You think they would want, I guess, in their minds, they're sacrificing something that they need, which is a true sacrifice.
Right.
Yeah.
So during the celebration, the Celts wore costumes, typically consisting of animal heads and skins, and attempted to tell each other's fortunes.
Well, I'm glad we don't wear animal skins and heads anymore.
You don't want to wear animal heads? What's wrong with you?
No, no.
When the celebration was over, they relit their hearth fires, which they had extinguished earlier that evening from the sacred bonfires to help protect them during the coming winter. So they used
Oh,
this
neat.
fire as a way to, instill protection in their homes.
Oh, I love that.
Right? I thought that was
Yeah.
really neat. I didn't know that part.
Yeah, me neither.
By 43 AD, the Roman Empire had conquered the majority of Celtic territory. In the course of the 400 years that they ruled the Celtic lands, two festivals of Roman origin were combined with the traditional Celtic celebration of Samhain. And so this is where it starts to kind of transition from only being a Celtic celebration of the coming winter and the end of the summer, and more towards what we know it as today.
Okay.
So the first was Feralia, a day in late October when the Romans traditionally commemorated the passing of the dead. The second was a day to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple. This part I thought was really cool. The symbol of Pomona is the apple, and the incorporation of this into the celebration of Samhain probably explains the tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today on Halloween.
How neat! I love
Right?
that.
So, like, I've heard of all these traditions, like obviously the jack-o'-lantern, the bobbing for apples, bats are a symbol of Halloween, like all this stuff. And I didn't know where all of it had come from, like why they were part of Halloween. And this, like just reading about it today was super neat.
This reminds me of that episode of Charmed where they went back and learned the history of witchcraft, where the witches came from, and the sweeping and why there's a broom associated, all those kind of things.
Right.
That's so cool.
That's a great episode. And no, you're right. This is exactly like that, because I knew nothing of Halloween, and now I'm learning like all about where these things came from. So by the 9th century, the influence of Christianity had spread into the Celtic lands, where it gradually blended with and supplanted older Celtic rites. So in 1000 AD, the church made November 2nd All Souls Day, which was a day to honor the dead. And it's widely believed today that the church was attempting to replace the Celtic festival of Samhain of the dead with a related church-sanctioned holiday.
So there's also the Catholic. Well, I don't know. I think it's Catholic. Don't yell at me if I'm wrong. The Day of the Dead now is November 1st.
Oh yeah. I know that's a mainly Hispanic thing, but I don't know, because I know Mexico is big with the Day of the Dead, and that's a lot of Hispanic stuff, but I couldn't tell you the religion.
Yeah, I think Catholicism was really strong back in the day in the Hispanic regions, and I think part of combining Halloween into the modern, quote, modern religions as opposed to the pagan religions was to appease the people. They wanted to bring the people into the new religion, and to do that they had to kind of embrace these older pagan religions. So that's interesting.
Yeah. So All Souls Day was celebrated similarly to Samhain, with big bonfires, parades, and dressing up in costumes as saints, angels, and devils. The All Saints Day celebration was also called All Hallows or All Hallowmans, which was from a Middle English, and I don't know how to say this, it's a All Hallow Mess, I think. It's a lot of letters. It's like an 11th letter, meaning All Saints Day. And the night before it, the traditional night of Samhain in the Celtic religion began to be called All Hallows Eve, and then eventually Halloween.
That's interesting. So like Christmas Eve, this was supposed to be the eve of the church religion.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which, like, I knew it was called All Hallows Eve, but I didn't know it was due to this blend of religion and the incorporating of religions.
Interesting.
So the American version of Halloween began to emerge. So the first celebrations included play parties, which were public events held to celebrate the harvest. Neighbors would share stories of the dead and tell each other's fortunes and dance and sing and all of that. And this is more like colonial. So like I say American, but it's So back in the day. So colonial Halloween festivities also featured the telling of ghost stories, mischief making of all kinds, and that kind of thing. By the middle of the 19th century, annual autumn festivities were common, but Halloween was not yet celebrated everywhere in the country. So it was mostly focused in the Northeast. I think it said Maryland is where it was most popular. So by the end of the 1800s, more communities.
Can I say something?
Yes.
That's so weird because the Ouija board came from Maryland.
What? Really?
Uh-huh.
Weird.
How weird. Maryland must be. We have to go to Maryland.
Well, I guess we got to go to Maryland.
Anyway, go ahead.
All right. By the end of the 1800s, more communities pushed for a secular and safer set of rituals. So people started holding Halloween parties that emphasized games, fall food, and costumes over witchcraft and troublemaking. So they're like, let's get rid of this dangerous stuff and let's bring in more like fun festivities for this type of holiday.
Okay.
So trick-or-treating skyrocketed in popularity in the 1950s when Halloween became a true national event. So I guess that's when it became widely recognized and celebrated throughout the entire country.
That's so recent.
I know. I thought that was so interesting.
Trick-or-treating's been forever.
Yeah. Well, 1950s, so.
Wow. My sister was born in 1959, so it was a new thing.
That's crazy.
I remember trick-or-treating as a kid. I guess I'll tell how old I am. I was born in 64, so I mean, it was relative. It was very, very new.
Yeah. Within the decade, but they say that it skyrocketed in popularity in the 1950s. So that's when it became hugely popular. So by the time you were born and by the time Aunt Debbie was born, it was already popular. So that's why.
There was no question that we would all trick or treat and dress up and have Halloween parties and all of that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I thought that was really neat. Today, over 179 million Americans celebrate the holiday and spend about $9.1 billion on it per year, according to the National Retail Federation.
Yeah, I do a lot of that. It's my favorite holiday. So.
Right. Well, I bought this shirt for it and everything. So.
Well, me too. I bought this. Daddy still doesn't know that I bought that. Well, he does know because it came and I showed him what I was going to wear. So I guess he does, but he didn't know before I bought it. But like for court all last week, I had my little pumpkin. It's this cool Zentangle pumpkin for those of you all that can't see. But I have Zoom court. I've been living in this room lately. This room is like becoming a prison cell. But anyway, I had to have my little Halloween decoration, and it is this beautiful Zentangle pumpkin.
Oh, that's super cute.
Isn't that adorable? And I've had it with me all last week and all this week. I'm finally done with Zoom court until 2 weeks from now.
Woohoo!
Yeah, woohoo! Actually, that might be a lie. I have in-person court. Well, I have in-person court, so I won't be here. But,
well, that's fair.
Yeah, anyway.
That is fair.
I'm sorry, I got off topic.
Oh, no, that's good. You were talking about your pumpkin.
I do. I love my pumpkin.
Let's see. So nowadays, many of us associate bats with Halloween. And the same is probably true for centuries ago, too. When the Celts lit bonfires, the bonfires would attract bugs and the bugs would attract bats.
Oh, how neat is that?
Yeah. So that's super cool. Oh, then, so here is the jack-o'-lantern thing. And it's a really cool little story that I'm just going to go over pretty quickly. But the practice of decorating jack-o'-lanterns originated in Ireland, where large turnips and potatoes served as early canvases. So in fact, the name jack-o'-lantern comes from an Irish folktale about a man named Stingy Jack. So here's the story of Stingy Jack.
Okay.
So people have been making jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween for centuries. It's a long practiced tradition. The practice originated from an Irish myth about a man named Stingy Jack. And according to the story, Stingy Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. True to his name, Stingy Jack didn't want to pay for his drink, so he convinced the devil to turn himself into a coin that Jack could then use to pay for their drinks. Once the devil did so, Jack decided to keep the money and put it into his pocket next to a silver cross, which prevented the devil from changing back into his original form. So
That is
Jack, I know. I didn't know anything about this. Like I knew about the turnip thing. Like I knew turnips were used as jack-o'-lanterns, but I didn't know the story behind all of this.
This could be a urban fantasy. There could be something about this. This is awesome.
Right?
Yes.
So Jack eventually freed the devil under the condition that he would not bother Jack for 1 year, and that should Jack die, he would not claim his soul. The next year, Jack again tricked the devil into climbing into a tree to pick a piece of fruit. Apparently the devil is gullible.
Was it an apple?
It doesn't say. It doesn't say.
We're going to go with it was an apple.
Absolutely. While he was up in the tree, Jack carved a sign of the cross into the tree's bark so the devil could not come down, until the devil had promised Jack not to bother him for 10 more years.
Now, that 10-year thing is interesting because in Supernatural, when you make a deal with the crossroad demon, it's 10 years.
Right. Huh. I wonder if that's like a thing. I should research that, like if that's actually, if there's a lot of stories. 10-year contracts kind of thing.
Yeah.
So soon after the tree thing happened, Jack died. As the legend goes, God would not allow such an unsavory figure into heaven. The devil, upset by the trick that Jack had played on him and keeping his word not to claim his soul, would not allow Jack into hell. He sent Jack off into the dark night with only a burning coal to light his way. Jack put the coal into a carved out turnip and has been roaming the earth ever since.
Oh, right?
Yeah. So the Irish began to refer to his ghostly figure as Jack of the Lantern, and then simply Jack-o'-lantern.
Oh my God, that's amazing. I had no idea.
Right? I love this story so much because I wasn't going to do it because it's not necessarily a part of the history of Halloween, but then I love the story so much that I was like, I have to tell it.
It really is. I mean, why do we have jack-o'-lanterns? That is absolutely Halloween.
Yeah. So in Ireland and Scotland, people began to make their own versions of jack-o'-lanterns by carving scary faces into turnips and potatoes and placing them into windows or near doors to frighten away stingy Jack and other wandering evil spirits. In England, large beaks are used. Immigrants from these countries brought the jack-o'-lantern tradition with them when they came to the United States. They soon found that pumpkins, a fruit native to America, make perfect jack-o'-lanterns.
That is amazing. That is brilliant. I love that story.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty great. I had to tell it because I loved it so much.
I absolutely love it. And, I now in my brain, my little writer's brain that I've got going, I can just see the story of a coin.
Yeah.
That is really the devil and someone inheriting or finding or collecting that coin and all the mischief that could happen from that. Oh, what a great story that would be.
Oh my God, go write that. You should
might.
Write that in the style of like frickin' fairies type, because that would be hilarious.
The humor?
Yes.
Have it, yeah. I think I will. That may be my new book.
That'd be great.
That's the first time in a long time. I mean, I've had some ideas churning, but nothing has really popped out at me. Like, I'm really jealous of you because I know that you have come up with an idea for a new book.
Oh yeah, I have. I mean, kind of. It's been there for a little bit too, but like I woke up this morning and was thinking about it. So
yeah, but this coin idea with the devil, and it can be hilarious.
Oh my gosh, please do it. I would love to read it in the humor style you have. That would be so good.
I'm gonna do it. I think it's already bubbling in my brain.
That's
that
awesome.
Is awesome.
Good.
Was that all you had on Halloween?
That is all I have on Halloween.
Well, let's move on to the Ouija board.
Yes, please tell me about the Ouija boards.
Okay, so Ouija, which is spelled Ouiga. I pronounce it Ouija. Whether there's another way to pronounce it, I don't know, but it's always been Ouija to me, like Weegee, Ouija.
Yeah.
So what is it? It is a spirit board or talking board. It's a flat board that's marked with letters of the alphabet, the numbers 0 through 9, and the words yes, no, and usually hello and goodbye along with various symbols and graphics on the board.
I already have a question.
Yes.
Could you theoretically like write out the letters and stuff, like make a Ouija board on your own piece, like a piece of paper, and
Yes.
have it work? Okay.
Yes. There are actually stories, and I don't know if I've included that in any of this, where people have done that. You can do it in dirt.
Oh, that's not a board.
Makeshift dirt, though, but you can make a board out of anything that has those letters and numbers and all of that on it.
Do you think that that makes the earth a Ouija board, and then you could pull through stronger spirits?
That's a frightening thought.
Because you know what I'm saying? Because like the earth would be your Ouija board.
That is another story idea right there. Ooh, creepy. Okay. It uses a planchette, which is a small heart-shaped piece of wood or plastic, kind of like that, with a pointy end, and usually a little
like a window, like a glass.
Yeah, a window in the middle of it. I gave one to my daughter-in-law, Montana.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. Oh, I should have written that. She is Raven something. Oh, I will have to post it. She makes the most beautiful planchettes ever. For my daughter-in-law, Montana, she is into the occult as well, and I got her a Ouija board that was made on Etsy, by the way, and the planchette I bought through Etsy as well, and it was Raven Co., I think might be her company, and she is out of Europe, and I ordered it from her, even though it had to come all the way from Europe to the United States. She is brilliant. Her artwork is beautiful, and the planchette was absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, this planchette is a movable indicator to spell out messages during your session with this Ouija board. So participants will place their fingers or a finger or however, one finger, however you want to do it on the planchette, and the planchette moves around the board and it spells out words and answers your questions. Now, the name Ouija is a trademark of Hasbro, which is a toy company.
Right.
But it's often used generically for all talking boards.
Oh, I see.
People know Ouija in your mind. You think, oh, I know what a Ouija board is. Well,
right.
That's actually a trademarked thing of the Hasbro company. But that is what people think of when you say Ouija, you think of the talking boards.
So was there another name for them before the toy thingy?
Pretty much spirit boards, talking boards, that kind of thing. According to Hasbro, it's a simple little game where players take turns asking questions, and then you, quote, wait to see what the planchette spells out for them.
I see, yeah.
Which is creepy to me, to make a
game. Don't wanna do that?
I actually do.
You don't, but like, do you think children should do that?
Well, let me tell you a story. Did you know that your sister number 3, Jordan, her first date with her now husband was to go to a graveyard and play Ouija in a frickin' graveyard? What the hell is wrong with that child?
She takes after you.
Yes, she does. You're right. You're absolutely right. So the history of the Ouija board. It was first commercially introduced by Elijah Bond on July 1st, 1890. And he introduced it simply as a parlor game.
Right.
Much earlier uses include China back in 1100 AD. That's the first mentions we can find in China of what they call, quote, automatic writing.
Oh.
Which is what really the planchette does.
Right.
And historical documents show that it came out in the Song dynasty, which I didn't look up to see what years that was, but approximately 1100 AD.
Mm-hmm.
That method was known as Fuji, which is translated as planchette writing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And it was purportedly used in necromancy and communication with the dead in China until it was banned in a later dynasty.
Well, gee, I wonder why.
Yeah. It's allegedly been practiced in India, Greece, Rome, and medieval Europe. Spiritualists believe that the dead are able to communicate with the living and reportedly use these talking boards, which are very similar to the modern Ouija boards, in their camps in Ohio in 1886.
Oh,
Which I was like, what is a camp? Why is it called a camp? Like Girl Scout camps? What the
right,
heck are you talking about? But
right.
then I learned that there's more discussion of these spiritualist camps. So I don't know if that means, like we have our carnivals today that move around, were there these camps of spiritualists that moved around?
Maybe.
Maybe. I don't know, but they wrote about it as if it was like common knowledge, and I'm going, well, okay.
Sure, sure.
The Ouija board itself, the modern Ouija board, was created and named in Baltimore, Maryland, which is what I was talking
Oh,
about,
right.
in 1890. And it was so common by, well, this says 1886, so I guess it was becoming common prior to the actual trademark of Ouija being named.
Right.
That the news reported this phenomenon as taking over these spiritualist camps in Ohio. Again with the camps.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's weird. I wonder if they were just like clusters of people who like shared the same mindset kind of thing. Like I don't know that they would literally be camps, but maybe. I don't know.
All I can envision is like the Renaissance festivals that move as a group
Right.
from place to place. I don't know. William Fuld, F-U-L-D, Fuld,
Okay.
was a former employee of Elijah Bond, and he was in charge of, under Elijah Bond, making these spirit boards.
Yeah.
He started producing his own spirit boards, and he's the one that coined the name Ouija.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which is the Egyptian word, an ancient Egyptian word meaning good luck.
Interesting.
Which, if you take that sarcastically, good luck.
That's fair.
I mean,
like you'll need it.
But in the beginning, it was just this little parlor game, like makes me think of watching Scrooge, where they were playing the musical Scrooge, which is my favorite of all the Scrooge books, where they're playing, the minister's cat, where you have to go through the alphabet. So I can see these people, dressed in those ancient clothes playing the Ouija board. It was just a parlor game at that point.
Yeah.
It wasn't until an American spiritualist named Pearl Curran used it as a divining tool during World War I that it became associated with the occult here in the United States.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. In 1966, that Fuld estate, F-U-L-D estate, sold all the rights to Parker Brothers, which is also a gaming company,
right.
Who then sold it to Hasbro in 1991, and Hasbro still owns the trademark of Ouija.
That's so interesting. I wonder if people, it's a really random thought, if people have to pay royalties in order to make movies called Ouija and like that kind of stuff to Hasbro.
I wonder.
Because there's so many things.
Do we have to pay royalties if we use the name Ouija? I guess so, in our books.
Oh, that's
so we might have to call them talking boards.
Spirit boards or whatever.
Or spirit boards.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. So the rest of my information I got from a website, fascinating website. It is www.ghostinvestigationteam.uk/ouijaboards.html.
Okay.
And I love it. They had a history and all of that stuff too, but my favorite part of their little website, their little blog about this, was all the rules.
Oh, yes. Please tell me all the rules. Because I know some of them, and then I know like different versions of some of them. So like I'm interested to see what they say.
Yeah, your sister is like doomed.
Oh,
She
100%.
broke every rule that's on this list. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my Lord, my
Yeah.
child. So number one is never use the Ouija board alone,
Right.
which is interesting. Number two, never use a Ouija board if you are depressed, stressed, irate, upset, bored, furious, sad, trepidatious, afraid, shocked, overconfident, or drowsy, as you could let a demon into your life.
Okay, so basically don't use a Ouija board.
Ever.
At all.
If you get a demon, blessing, wow, blessing or cleansing the house could make the demon even worse than it already is.
Oh, good.
I know. Don't give the Ouija board to someone else to give them the problem. So, like, if you do end up with a demon, don't say, here, have a present for you.
I imagine that would piss off a demon. Be like, are you kidding me? I came here for you.
Never use a Ouija board if you think it is a game.
But I mean, it's labeled as a game.
Exactly. Never let the spirits count down through the numbers or go through the alphabet as they can get out of the board this way. So
I don't like the implications of that. Like,
I know.
How do you stop? Like, do you pick up the planchette?
I think so. Throw it across the room.
I feel like that's another way to let one in too.
I know, it's so scary. If the planchette goes to the four corners of the board, it implies that you have reached a wicked soul or an evil presence, which you could be letting into your life.
Great. Awesome.
Now, Jordan said that, our daughter number 3, sister,
yes.
says that if the planchette takes itself to one of the corners, it is a spirit trying to escape the board.
Okay.
You ought to never use a Ouija board in the event that you are a doubter or an atheist, as you could get a wicked soul or devil.
Oh, well, that, I guess I won't do that.
Oh, I still want to do it. If the planchette tumbles from the Ouija board, a soul would get detached. Whose soul? Like a player's soul or a demon? Do demons have souls? I don't know.
Not a fan of that. Also, if you use the ground as your Ouija board, how can the planchette tumble off? Like, is there like a border?
I guess you would have to draw a border, like a square around all the letters and the numbers.
Okay. Yeah.
I guess. But how does the planchette move on dirt?
Right. Yeah.
And it would be really scary if it did.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I wouldn't be a fan of that. I just thought, I guess, if you did a border, like you said, then I guess that's technically.
What if you didn't do a border?
That's what I'm saying. I think the entire earth, there'd be like a massive demon that could come through.
That's frightening.
That'd be my fear.
Let's see. In the event that the planchette, in that event, it has instructions. In that event, like if the planchette tumbles from the Ouija board, then you flip it over and use it that way up. That happens. That gets rid of any wicked soul. But you can't do that if you've drawn it in the dirt. You're just screwed.
Yeah.
So don't draw it in the dirt, everybody. If the planchette starts making the figure 8, it implies that a wicked soul is in control of the board. You've all probably heard this one. This one I knew. The board must be closed properly or evil spirits will remain behind to haunt the operator or the property. So, where it says hello and goodbye, you've got to make sure you say goodbye.
Can we go back to the figure 8 thing really quick? Can you say that one more time?
If the planchette starts making the infinity sign, the figure 8.
Interesting.
Then that means that a wicked soul is taken over the board.
Don't like that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for going back over.
Fail to close the Ouija board properly after each session, it leaves the spirits or demons present and able to come into our world and affect us or affect you, whoever it is that's doing this.
Yeah.
Should the demon not say goodbye, like you might not be able to get it to go to goodbye, then you have to repeat goodbye or leave in a very loud, stern voice, and then pass the planchette through the flame of a candle.
Wow. What if you don't have a candle?
I guess you better have a candle when you're going to play with the Ouija board. Never use the Ouija board if you are ill or in a debilitated condition. Does that include drinking? Because
100%.
oh, that would be bad, because that's probably the only time I would ever use a Ouija board is when I've been drinking.
Well, don't do that.
It says this would make you vulnerable or susceptible to possession. Yeah, see, that's another one that Jordan broke when they were in the graveyard playing with a Ouija board.
Yeah, yeah.
The spirit of a Ouija board creates winds, quote, winds for the user, causing him or her to become more and more dependent upon the board. This is called progressive entrapment.
Oh, I don't like that term.
I know.
Not a fan.
Evil spirits contacted through the Ouija board will endeavor to win your confidence with lies. So you ask it a question and it's going to lie to you.
I don't like that. What if you ask it questions that like you already know the answer to? Like,
and it could tell you the truth to make you think that
right.
it's, you know?
Yeah.
Always be respectful and never upset the spirits.
Fair.
Yeah, I agree with that. Never use the Ouija in a graveyard. Jordan,
like my sister
really? Yeah. Or where a terrible death has occurred, or you will bring forth malevolent entities.
Right.
The very first Ouija boards, and I don't know that this is true based on what we read about Hasbro and whatnot, the very first Ouija boards were made from the wood of coffins.
Oh.
A coffin nail in the center of the planchette window accommodated as the pointer to tell you what letter and number it was going to.
Yeah.
Sometimes an evil spirit can permanently inhabit a board. When this transpires, no other spirits will be able to utilize the board.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to play with a Ouija board.
Ouija boards, I want to though. Ouija boards that are disposed of improperly come back to haunt the owner.
Like come back like they show back up at your house?
Yeah, like I would imagine you try to dispose of it and get rid of it because you're scared of it. You can't, if you don't do it properly, you're screwed. A Ouija board will scream if you try to burn it.
No thanks.
People who hear the scream have less than 36 hours to live.
Oh my God! No!
I know. Who wants to test that theory and see if in 36 hours you're going to die?
Absolutely not.
There is only one way to properly dispose of it. You break the board into 7 pieces and sprinkle it with holy water, and then you bury it.
Okay.
Which I think salt would probably work too.
It wouldn't hurt, I feel like.
Yeah, holy water, salt, iron, anything else you can get your hands on.
Yeah.
Arrange the letters and numbers into a circle so whatever is trapped within the circle can't escape, which every Ouija board I've seen is like has them printed on it. So how do you arrange them in a circle?
Right, yeah.
I don't know what that means. If you place a pristine silver coin on the board, no evil spirits will be able to come through, which, as you and I know, because we've done so much research on lore and that kind of thing, iron and salt are also supposed to be detrimental to any kind of spirit.
Right.
The thought of silver has often been thought of to contain qualities that make it an effective weapon against evil spirits. The Chinese believed that placing a silver locket around their child's neck would ward off evil spirits.
Huh.
And the Incas believed that silver was where the silver is, the tears of the moon.
Oh.
And it is believed that silver has reflective properties, and that is the reason that silver is attributed with these powers. It catches the light and repels darkness.
Oh, neat.
So interesting, which is also another thing we can use in urban fantasy writing,
Yeah.
the silver qualities, and it comes from actual urban legends,
Right.
that are in existence. Never, 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 never leave the planchette on the board when you're not using it.
Oh, no, that's just like asking for a bunch of evil spirits to come in.
Yeah, you're leaving the portal open.
Yeah.
3 things never to ask the Ouija board.
Okay.
Never ask about God.
Okay.
Never ask when you're going to die.
Why would you?
And never ask where the gold is buried. Apparently, those 3 things piss off the demons or spirits or whatever it is we're talking to.
Can I ask where money is buried?
That would probably be considered, quote, gold.
Can I ask where random objects are buried?
Maybe objects of power. Oops, as Karen Monning says.
Yes.
This is very interesting to me because, and I have stories to tell in a minute, but the thought that talking boards have been used in so many different cultures through so much time makes me really wonder if there's something to it.
Yeah.
And you make it as a parlor board game, but it wouldn't be any fun if it didn't do something.
Right.
If everybody sits there and waits.
I mean, other than the fact that, like, at this point in time, like modern times, doing it is fun just because everyone's like, well, what if? And so, like, everybody stresses themselves out and they're like, oh, we're going to do this Ouija board thing. And then they're all there and we're all stressed out and blah, whatever. I feel like that's where the fun comes in these days.
And we always suspect, oh, you're moving it.
Yeah.
What if no one's moving it? And this spirit talking has gone on for enough years, through enough generations, through enough cultures. There is probably something to it.
Yeah.
So I still want to play with it. I'm the one that wants to touch the tornado and the dust devils that your older sister is like, she showed me a picture of it. She hates dust devils. She is terrified of them.
I know.
And because you had to drive across country with her, and when there were dust devils, she's like, you're driving. And I'm like, well,
yep.
Can I touch it? And she's like, Mom, no.
Yeah.
So me being the one that wants to play the Ouija board is not out of character. Yeah. Okay, so I have some Ouija board stories. This one's from Reddit.
Okay.
Which Reddit is full of really cool stuff. Anyway, so this guy says, in high school, my friends and I were messing around with a Ouija board one night. We had done it before. Nothing remarkable ever happened. We usually did it to try to scare each other or our girlfriends. Well, we all thought it was a joke. That night, there was no one else home except the 7 of us, and we were all together around the board. One of the girls wanted to try it. She had never done it before. This time was different. The board misspelled some of the words the same way every time.
No.
It gave answers that seemed historically accurate for our town, things we neither knew or cared about. Long story short, the spirit claimed it was a 10-year-old boy who had died on the property in the 1800s and was buried there too in an unmarked grave. My friend's house, where they were playing, was on a farm at the edge of town. We were all a little freaked out because the board had never been so detailed or consistent. However, we were still skeptical and were all assuming one of us was trying to scare the rest.
Yeah.
Finally, my friend asked if the spirit could do something to prove he was there with us. It went to yes, and then spelled out Knock. Then the planchette stopped moving. We all just stared at it silently, and then there was a rap, rap, rap on the window right next to us.
No.
The lights were on outside, and there was absolutely no one out there. We never touched that effing board again.
No way.
Crazy, right?
That's creepy.
The next one was a Reader's Digest story.
Okay.
So this girl, she says, the first time I used a Ouija board, her name is Paige, I was about 6 or 7, and I was with my mom and older sister, who was 15 at the time. The family had just moved into a new house, much bigger and much older than the one we had previously lived in. That night, Paige, her mother, and her sister were eating pizza in the living room floor since they didn't have all of their furniture yet. They put on a fire to ease the chill out of the fall air. After dinner, her sister pushed her mom to let them play their old Ouija board game. As we were moving it, Paige continues, a box in the living room that had some books in it literally flew across the room. Shortly after that, the fire inexplicably went out, and their mother was so shaken she took the girls to their grandmother's house to spend the night.
Wow. Yeah, no, thank you.
Number 3.
Okay.
Owen started playing with Ouija boards when he was a child, and he has continued to experience paranormal phenomena ever since. My grandfather on my dad's side died before I was born, he starts. He and my dad were estranged, and my dad never spoke of him or had any pictures of him around. One day, Owen began seeing and talking to a person he called Michael. Unbeknownst to him, Michael was his grandfather's name. Finally, my parents set me down to showed me a picture of the man that I had never seen before and asked me if I knew who it was. I told him it was Michael and that he was right there with us.
Ah, lovely. I mean, but if it's like a grandfather, then like that's not that scary.
No, and I don't think that the spirits that's why people use Ouija boards, is because they're hoping to contact loved ones.
Right.
They aren't intending to contact a demon and bring a demon into their lives. They're wanting to talk to Grandpa,
right.
Or like Papa. Wouldn't it be cool to talk to Papa?
It would be cool to talk to Papa.
This is number 4.
Okay.
I saw a full-bodied apparition, Glenn says, of his experience with a Ouija board. I can turn the page. The apparition he saw was that of a young girl wearing what looked like commoner's clothing from an antiquated era. He told the story to his neighbors, who happened to be historians, and they told him that a little girl just like the one he described used to live in the house. The apparition ended up being a 10-year-old girl named Annalise who died of tuberculosis sometime in the late 1800s.
Wow. How did he find out?
I mean, I guess the historians told him. So I guess he used the Ouija board and contacted that spirit who happened to be there. Luckily, it wasn't an evil spirit.
Right.
And he actually saw her.
Interesting.
Full-bodied apparition. And then the last one I've got is when my aunt was 16, she had a pretty serious boyfriend. When she used the board, she asked if they would get married, and it said no. She asked if they would break up, and it said no.
Oh.
She asked if one of them would die, and it said yes. And when she asked which one of them, it said goodbye.
Oh, no, wait.
A week later, her boyfriend was in a wood chipper accident at the mill where he worked, and he died.
Oh my God. Wow.
Be careful what you ask.
Absolutely. I mean, that's not what caused his death, but like, wow.
But yeah, how creepy is that?
That's insane.
And there are so many more stories, but it really makes me want to use a Ouija board.
No. I think if anything, this episode made me want to not do that. So,
It was funny. We watched last night. Your father is being so good with me. He's letting me watch all these horrible horror movies. And we watched one last night called Witch Hunt.
Yeah.
Which was about a card game with witches.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And it went horribly wrong. And it reminds me of be careful what you ask for.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really though, like, you're wanting to use this Ouija board. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, or ask.
Right.
Don't ask questions that you don't want. Use it properly for one thing. Follow every rule, even if it's just a way out there rule. Although I do kind of want to use one in a graveyard.
No.
You're right. This is where Jordan gets it from.
Yeah,
Thank God only one of you all. And she got married young enough that, well, I got married young too, but I did all my trouble before I got married, and she's already married. So yay.
Good grief. That doesn't mean she's going to be any less trouble. It was with
I
her husband that they went to the graveyard to do the Ouija board.
Yeah, but he is kind of scared of things, so I think he can talk her out of most things.
That's fair.
So your
Yeah.
dad's the level-headed one of our relationship.
Yeah.
You know, I still want to go and do, what is the app that I want to do that you all wouldn't let me do?
Something about coordinates. I don't remember what it's called now.
Yeah, I want to do it.
No.
And I still think we should do it while we're recording live for our people.
Oh, yeah, so they can all watch us get murdered.
Hey, well, we would have a lot of witnesses.
We're still dead.
I'm so glad my children are normal humans because I'm sure not. That's
Good grief. No, I prefer my near-death experiences to be out hiking and stuff.
yeah, you've had enough of those.
Yeah, I know. And none of them were spirits or getting murdered.
You still almost died.
In a good way.
Is there really a good way to die? Really?
Yeah. There are better ways to die anyway.
That reminds me of that movie. I'm so into the horror movies. Remember that movie? Wait, oh God, I don't remember what it is now, but it's one of those time loop movie things.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
No, you're thinking of the Grave Encounters or whatever it is.
My Grave Encounters.
With Elijah Dushku.
Yeah.
I love that movie too. It's also that's a good one too. In fact, that one is definitely not the grade B and C- that I usually watch. I don't remember what my point was. Never mind. Forget it. I have no idea what I was going to say. Look how red my face is.
That's what you get for wine.
I know. It's been fun. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween, y'all.
right.
And be careful with Ouija boards if you use them.
Do what?
Be careful with Ouija boards if you use them.
Definitely. Listen to all my rules.
And also, if you do use them, let us know because I'd love to hear your stories.
Oh, yeah. Not that we're encouraging you to go use them or anything, but if you do, tell us your stories. No. I'm sure there's legal liability. No. We're not. We disclaimer. But tell us your stories and we'll spread them on.
Yes.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next time. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Thanks, guys.